Okay, I think we are all here, so we can start. I'll be letting inside another in a second. So hello everyone, I'm Konrad. I'm team coordinator for European River Challenge. You may know me already as the guy who's responding to your emails. So just give me a second. You know, it's the first meeting since a few months, so I'm a little rusty. I would like to welcome all of you here. I see many familiar faces here and familiar names. I'm not sure if there are like any newcomers here, but if you are here, then also welcome to you. And don't feel shy. There will be like a time and space for everyone to ask questions. I would like to just say one thing before, because let's say we did a little mistake by publishing the link to the meeting online on Twitter and things like that. So we may have like some kind of troll attack. I hope that our meeting is like not big enough, you know, to be under attack. But if there is a situation like that, I would try to, you know, to kick that person as soon as possible. But yeah, but sorry for that. So one more thing before I will let Marcin talk. We will start with presentation because Marcin wants to say something before you will have time to ask questions. But later, just raise your hand via Zoom, and we will we will try, to do it in order. But there is a big chance that we just won't see who was first. But don't worry, everyone will have the time to ask questions. And then we'll just, give you the voice and introduce yourself, from which team and from university or country, where are you from? And then ask for your questions. Okay, I hope I'm clear. I hope everything's clear from what I said. So today with me is Marcin and 4 other persons from the jury team. So Marcin is the head of the jury board.
I think 3 persons: Emilia, Adam, and Oscar from jury, plus of course me. Okay, so I can start, I believe. So I would like also to welcome you today at the meeting. I have a short, I hope it's maybe not so short, but maybe 15 minutes presentation. But first I need to get the presenter rights from Konrad to share it with you. So if you could, Konrad, to give me the presenter rights.
You should have it already.
Okay.
Also, don't forget to invite newcomers if you'll see.
All right, so then it will be, I guess, not possible for me to show the full screen because I also need to see who's trying to join. Okay, let me arrange the windows just for a moment. Okay, I see I have a few people to join. All right, so let's start. So welcome to the first meeting. I believe you see my screen. If not, just please let me know. During this meeting, I would like to first summarize the schedule for both ERC and Q&A sessions. Also introduce you to some topics related to new approach to some of the tasks and provide you explanations. Okay, then also I would like to talk about some modifications to the rules, and which will be applied in the next few days, few weeks, not the days, because that will be after the Easter. Also, I will have a question for you regarding the number of the teams in the final, and then we will focus on the Q&A session. Oh, I see a lot of people are joining, honestly. So for the next meeting, we need to somehow else show the presentation, because I cannot click at the same time and present. All right, so going to the schedule. So this is the point where we are at the moment. So we have started registration on 14th March. You have time for the registration and next 13 days, and then around 21st of April. On 21st of April, I would like to provide you a second revision of the rules. Then regarding the Q&A session, this is the first one. The second one will be after publishing of the revision 2 of the rules. And let's go to the tasks. So the main updates in case of ERC 2023. This year, as you have noticed, science task is combined with collection. At the same time, we do not have probing. And at the same time, drone is included in the science task. Navigation this year is almost exactly the same, despite one fact that there is no drone in the navigation anymore. So there was reduction of the penalty points last year. So this year it will not happen. You will not be using drone in case of the navigation task. Maintenance and presentation tasks are basically the same. So in case of the maintenance, we want to check if the same panel will somehow show that you have better results than during the last year. In case of the presentation task, there is not much for modifying. Of course, the rules are updated for the next year, but the topics for this year, but the topics which are covered are more or less the same in the estimation in the presentation. Yes. Then regarding the documentation, you have the updated templates in the rules. However, in some cases, we require some a bit different information from you. So you have to check the templates, because also in the proposal level, there may be some differences. There are some differences for sure. Yeah, the general comments, remember about the power reports for each task, of course, excluding the presentation task. And also the important point is that because in case of the science task, we have a combination of both science and collection and also drone, the scoring had to be changed. And basically we couldn't leave 150 points as during the last recent editions of the ERC for this task, because basically that would be too low scoring. So scoring of all the tasks was updated, because at the same time, we also didn't want to have too low scoring for certain tasks. So that was a trade-off, because too low scoring for certain tasks would mean that maybe you will not be interested in doing some of the tasks and you would prepare just for this one. Okay, before I go to the next slide, I just need to click on some people to enter. Then I believe this is the important point for you right now. So check the templates, as I said, because documentation is the part which will let you to the finals of the ERC. Check the requirements for the documentation, which are in the templates now. Check the requirements for the documentation, which are also in the templates. Include only the relevant information in what you provide to us and try to be concise. So, because also for us, it's better for reading and much easier for reading. Okay, then science task. So I believe some of you may remember this slide. So basically, you will have the science task, which has to be performed on the Marcin. You can do it with the video. You have your hypothesis. You need to check this hypothesis. And for doing that, you just need to rove around the Marcin. You will have also some Easter eggs on the Marcin, which you will have to look for. And the important point here is that you will be able to prepare part of this task just before the competition, because you have to provide to the science team the plan for your task. So unfortunately today Anya is not with us, so if you will have questions related more to that part, unfortunately, if I do not know the answer, they will have to be moved to Slack or to email. Then the next part of the science task is collection. So during this year, you have to do one surface sample, and you select the position and you provide it in your science planning report. But here you have two options. One is to collect regolith, which will be easier, but you will get lower amount of points. And you can collect rocks, which will give you more points, but it's harder to achieve. And then you will have also the collection of the deep sample. And that will be the point specified by the judges, most probably in one of the craters in the Marcin. Okay, from general comments, I see there is probing, shouldn't be here, of course. So you have to remember about taking photos before and after the collection of each sample. You have to measure the weight of the samples. You have to bring those samples to the judges because, of course, we will be checking if the weight is the same. And what is important, the autonomous mode will allow you to gain more points. There is also a rover implemented in, a drone implemented in this task. As far as I remember in the rules, it was described as you need to show, you need to take the picture of the place which is not possible to be reached by drone. And you will have to choose basically this place and provide it in your science planning report based on the fact how Marcin is built. Okay, next task is the navigation task. So as in the previous years, you will have 4 points to be reached. So the best case is if you reach all of those 4 points in the sequence, which is given by the judges. All the teams will have the different points or different sequences. The best case is to reach it without video, without any GNSS receivers. So basically taking into account only the landmarks which are on the Marcin, and the rover has to do it in the autonomous way. If that's not done in the autonomous way, you will lose some points. But it's quite a lot of points, because then it means basically that you will do it with the video, most likely, and then in the scoring we have -80 points for you. So that's also on your side to decide if you want to perform this task with video, or if you want to do something else and have a possibility to gain much more points and better place, of course, in the finals. The important thing here is that, for example, you can go to the point A and point B in autonomous mode, and then maybe you will not have time, so you decide that you want to go to C and D with the video. So basically then 80% of points will be only deducted for C and D. For A and B, you will receive the 100% of scores which you gained. So that was similar to the last year. Then the maintenance task, the same panel, Maybe we will just change the equations, but yeah, panel will be the same. So I encourage you to build your own panels and test your rover, because that would be the best approach for that. Presentation task. The important points here are that you have to remember about providing outreach documentation and presentation. You have the link to Google Forms in the rules. Sorry for making pauses, but I'm just clicking and inviting new people. Yeah, so also you have to remember about mentioning ERC, so hashtag ERC 2023, as you are also getting scores for that. And yeah, that's obvious comment which I provided to you many times. So the second part of the presentation, the 30 minutes one, is discussion with judges, and it's not only questions from judges but also questions to judges. So I just encourage you to use this time. Do not be afraid, and yeah, we are very open to discuss with you. Sometimes we have really interesting conversations with you, and even we can learn something from you. So this is really the amazing part of the presentation. Okay, a few words related to modifications of the rules. So as presented in the schedule, those will be released on 21st April. All typos will be corrected. All comments related to the rules from Slack will be included in this revision. So basically, if something was wrong, I will just correct it. I have already the list. I will be also working on the list. If you will find something else, I will be working on the list right now when you will be asking the questions. Yeah, and I have one question to you. How many teams you would like to see in the final? I would suppose that would be, yeah, the answer would be the more the better. I guess also it's from my point of view, but the problem I see right now in the scheduling is that because we have the same time to accommodate, so basically Friday, Saturday, and half of Sunday, the only possibility to accommodate higher number of the teams is to reduce the times of the tasks. So basically science would have to be reduced to 45 minutes. And that would be good to hear from you, but that can be done on Slack. That would be good to hear from you if that's fine with you. And also navigation task will be reduced to between 20 to 25 minutes, because otherwise I see that currently I can accommodate a similar number of the teams than during the last year. And yeah, that would be a pity, especially considering that the remote will not be performed at the same time this year. So it would be better to use this, let's say, spare time to introduce more teams and invite them to Poland and see more teams. Okay, so that's all from my side. Okay, so I just need to give back where is Konrad?
Okay, so I'm not under my name here. I'm under European Rover Challenge.
Yes. There are so many. Oh, okay, here you are.
Okay, so if you have like nothing more to add, then let's start the Q&A. So if anyone have like any question, please raise a hand, and we will choose one or just take the first one. Okay, I see a hand raised. Where? Jan Brzyk, okay.
Hello, everyone. Great to see you again, all the familiar faces. I'm the member of the AGH Space Systems rover team, and I already wrote on the Zoom chat, but I will ask that question orally. If you speak about the science/collection task and autonomy during this task, you mean the autonomous manipulation, autonomous navigation/movement, or both?
Yeah, I would say depends what you can achieve, because basically, if you would achieve both, then you will be a reference point for maximum scoring in autonomy. So then basically, if you achieve both, going to the sampling locations and performing all the collection in autonomous mode, you will have maximum points. And then the team, which, for example, does only the manipulation, will not get the maximum score. So yeah, this is how we usually did that in the ERC. So we are also looking for a reference point between the teams, because it's really hard to know what we can expect from you. So
Okay.
I would rather think in that way. So if you want, you can just do the manipulation and you will for sure get the points for autonomy. But if you can do more, then it's even better. So basically you will just you will just make the scale wider.
Yes, thank you. And I assume that the GPS usage is still prohibited during ERC. So my question is, can we expect AR tags during science tasks on the Mars yard?
Yeah, those landmarks, that's a good question, because that's only referred in the navigation task. Very good one. Yeah, those will be all the time on the Mars yard, the landmarks.
Okay, thank you. That will help in autonomy during science. Thank you. That's all from me.
Okay, thank you. I will also have to update it in the rules, honestly. So, okay,
write that down. In the meantime, I see that EPFL expert wants to ask a question. So welcome.
Hello, so can you hear me?
Oh, yes, clear.
Okay, hello. So we have a question about the proposal report. And we saw that the risk matrix is, it's kind of complicated to fill as it is right now in the template. So we're wondering if we can make our own table and just adjust the format but have the same elements.
No, you can do your own table. That's for sure. It's just this table was just to show what kind of information usually is provided in the risk assessment.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
But also here, one comment, because last year I remember that some of the teams, because at certain levels we are asking you for either qualitative or quantitative risk assessment. But I remember that last year some of the teams have provided all the assessments in advance. But then it's very problematic if you provide, for example, at the final report, when we want from you only, if I remember, quantitative assessment, and you provide both, then it's very problematic to score your results, because then you shouldn't receive maximum number of points, because you have provided also not what we wanted exactly in the proposal. So just check in the templates what we want from you at a certain step.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So I have an additional question concerning what data the rover can send to the control station during some tasks. So, for example, during the navigation task, it is written in the rules that we can only receive the position and the orientation of the rover. And I was wondering, would it be possible to additionally share information such as the orientation of the wheels, for example? Is that a problem or not?
I don't see any problem with that.
Okay.
So basically the main point here is that you cannot see what rover sees at the moment.
Okay, so basically the most important is not to have the cameras turned on during the task.
Yes.
Okay. And additionally, for the
and do the task in the autonomous way. That's also the important.
Yeah, of course. And for the maintenance task, also, so for the autonomous part, are we allowed to have cameras turned on to have the operator on the control station see if the rover, like the handling device, is correctly manipulating the elements, or should it also be like fully blind without cameras and have the rover
No, in case of the
tell us
maintenance
that
task, you can see the video. So basically, because you can either do this task manually if you can do it in autonomous mode, and then you will receive lower amount of points. But basically, you can have the video all the time. So this is only for the navigation task that you cannot have a video.
Okay, cool. Amazing. Thank you.
All other task video is allowed.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe also in the presentation, but I have no idea how right now.
Okay, so next one was Project Red.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, we can hear you.
Hello, I'm Italo Almirante from Project Red, an Italian team. And I want to ask you a few questions about the proposal too. The first one is this. About filling the requirement document. You said on Slack that we can fill your template, your Appendix 3, as a part of the proposal, is right?
Yeah, that's right. So this is also what will be updated in the rules. Because that basically makes sense, because if you just copy and paste this table to your proposal, it's already like 10 pages.
Okay, so the total length of the document doesn't change.
Total length of the document doesn't change, but it includes the other points. So basically, you need to focus more, as I was also explaining that on Slack, you have to focus more on the part of understanding of requirements, which you can provide brief descriptions of the key requirements in your opinion and how you plan to solve them. And there was also, if I remember, I need to open this template honestly, because I do not remember everything. There was also, I believe, some design related part. Understanding of key requirements. Okay, so there was not, so that was the only part when you can provide some information related to the design, which will make your rover according to the requirements, compliant with the requirements.
Okay, copy. But the question is mainly about the difference between the appendix that you give to us and the template in the proposal, because the last columns in the proposal is about assumptions compliance. Instead, in the appendix 3, there is 2 more columns that are not in the template, and they are other comments and comments on verifications. What kind of columns should we put?
You have to use the appendix, the Excel file.
Okay.
So this is in the template you have the but also please be consistent in that case, because it's 50 or 60 requirements. So that's also a lot of time for reading by judges.
I think you were blocked as your videos. We could not get your answer.
Okay, so
yes, I can confirm. Please repeat as we had like 20 seconds break or something like that.
Okay, that's unfortunate. So I will repeat, of course. In the template, you have the exemplary compliance matrix. So what kind of information usually is in the compliance matrix? But here you should follow the one which is in the Excel file. So you have also more columns which can be filled or do not have to be filled. So that's your decision. But if you fill the column, if you provide more comments related to each requirement, please try to be as concise as possible, just to let the juries, to have less reading and more into the point, straight to the point.
Okay,
that also takes time, and that's crucial, honestly, at the level of proposal and preliminary report, because this is the phase in which we expect about 60 or even more registrations. So it's really a lot of documentation to be reviewed.
Okay, it's clear. Thank you. The other question is that we have to provide, it's mandatory to provide both qualitative and quantitative and risk analysis for each risk.
Yes, this is how usually it is done.
Okay. Two other questions are about the task. If I can go on just a minute. The first one is that on the maintenance panel, we will have some updates about the starting position of some elements such as the electromagnetic lock and the RJ45 plug.
So it will be like during the last year. You will see where it lies just before beginning of the task, but we will not define anything in the rules. So let's say you also have to be prepared for some small changes, but I mean small changes, maybe not changes, but something which is not certain.
Okay.
But all the parts will be nearby. So this is what you can expect.
Okay, last question is about the location of sampling. On the rules, you have written that our location must be a single location, but it is about the single sampling, not for all the sampling. So we cannot, we can decide about more sampling locations for rock, regolith, and deep sample. Must be, they can be separate, I mean.
In general, from my point of view, yes, because we will be assessing the technical excellence. That will be a good question for Anya, for the science team. But I would suppose that also from her point of view, it will be better to have samples from more locations, because that would make your scientific report better, I suppose. But please ask this question on Slack, because that's a good, what part of this question is good for Anya. From my point of view, I was rather assuming that you will at least use the same region, because you can collect it in a, you can collect it as a multiple manipulations of the manipulator. So you do not have to do it at once. But yeah, I was rather assuming the same location because then it would be also less time consuming for you. But if you want, and if you have any scientific background because of that, then I believe it would be okay. So we are only assessing in, let's say, more technical part of this task. We are only assessing if you collected the samples, what kind of samples, and what is the weight of the samples.
Okay, it's clear.
And
Thank
how
you
you collected it.
Okay, it's good. Thank you so much for the answers.
You're welcome.
Okay, so for the next question, Beyond Robotics, Tony, please welcome.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice
We
to meet
are
you.
from Greece and we are trying to participate for the first time. We have some questions. First of all, for the proposal, it's the requirements Excel is included in the length of the proposal, or it's like an appendix?
Yeah, so as I know, because you are new, most probably you didn't see the Slack account of the ERC. On the Slack account, I was explaining that it can be like an appendix.
Okay.
So then in this part 2 of the proposal, understanding of the key requirements, you can just summarize the most important requirements. So not all the 60 requirements, but the most important ones.
Also,
the design of the
if
robot.
I can add something, the link to join our Slack community is on the chat. And yeah, so just join and read everything, or just, you know.
There are not so many questions at the moment at Slack, so I think around 10, maybe a bit more.
Okay. The second one is that we have an email that it's with because we set up an organization in order to participate to the competition. Is it a problem that it is not in the format of team name at xx.yyyy that you say, or because ours is robotics at Beyond Orbit, and Beyond Orbit is the organization. Beyond Robotics is the name of the team.
Yeah, so in general, you should have the team name. I guess we can live with that, but the team name in the email also helps us to distinguish with which team we are talking at the moment. So this is why we have this requirement. So if that's possible to even create some kind of additional email, which then would resend it to your robotics email account, then we would appreciate it, because then at least we know what is your team, to which team we are talking about.
About the drone, can the drone is the drone allowed to have an GPS, or it should be Wi-Fi only?
That's a good question, because I suppose that majority of the component of the shelf drones would be based on GPS.
Yeah, that's what currently troubles us.
Okay, so yeah, honestly, then I think it would be necessary. So at least in case of drone, even if you are using the commercial or the designed by you version, then most probably we'll have to allow for the GPS.
Yeah.
Also because of the safety reasons, I believe. So, okay, so let's assume that GPS is for the drone. That's a good point. It's allowed for the drone then.
Yeah, and the second one also refers to the drone. The drone should be teleoperated, autonomously flying, which because there are no points on drone autonomy.
Yeah, so because mainly, as far as I'm aware, I'm honestly I was not very into the low aspects of operating the drones, but basically I know that there are some weight limits, and I know that drone has to be always in the line of sight of the operator. And most probably the drones also, if they are not operated by the non-certified people, they have to be teleoperated, I suppose. So this is also a good point. If we can somehow have the autonomy in case of the drones, but I suppose might be difficult.
Okay.
But in general, the assumption of the drone task is just to provide as far as I remember, is just to provide the pictures of the place which is not achievable by the rover.
Yeah.
So, for example, in the last years, I believe it was behind the volcano or a place like that.
Yeah. We totally agree with the scenario that you have thought of, but we just asked about the whether we could also program it the drone to take off, go to this spot, take the picture, and return back to the rover or to the line, starting line autonomously. That's what.
So that's a good question, and I cannot answer right now. Honestly, we need to investigate that, because that's interesting, because it's also has to be checked if from the legal point of view it can be done like that.
Yeah, the A2 license is only for 5 meters between involved persons. Most probably judges will be closer than the 5 meters and the ones that we show. We observe the rover.
Okay.
And so sorry to take you of your time. We have two more questions. The one is about the new requirement of redundancy. That would mean that we should have a second system for every of the 5 systems mentioned in the rover. I mean, we have a main computer. Should we have a backup computer? We have a main camera. We should have a backup camera and all. And what's the point of locomotion redundancy? What do you mean by redundancy in locomotion?
Yes, so for example, motors with redundant wiring, in case of it's broken, you can, the motor will be still working, but that's up to you. Honestly, that's up to you, because this is what you have received from us is the requirements from the customer.
Okay.
If you believe that some of the requirements should be changed or can be changed, or you are not able to be compliant with those requirements, you just need to show that.
Yeah.
You just need to explain.
Partial compliance is allowed.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course it's allowed. So basically we will be also checking how you responded to the requirements. So then if you responded to all the requirements that you are compliant, then we will be comparing that with your design. You have to show that in your design that you are compliant, especially with some critical requirements. But if you show also that you are partially compliant or non-compliant with some of the requirements, please explain why.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And the last question is about the rover. You have a requirement that it's a kind of vague, namely requirement number 30. The rover is supposed to turn on spot or have a specific turning radius? Can also have a specific turning radius. I mean, is it necessary to turn 360 on the spot, or we can have...
which number of requirement, once again?
Functional requirement number 30.
Functional number 30. Yeah, but it's rather the general requirement, which in a, let's say, short words tells that your rover should be able to turn.
Okay. It's just generic. It's not just, it means to have a specific requirement. Okay.
No, you need also, this is why you have additional columns also, because you need to show how you understand the requirements, and then also show what is the approach to be compliant with those requirements, or to be non-compliant. What are your assumptions? So this is also why you have more columns than, let's say, in a typical requirements matrix, which is provided, for example, in the template.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I will go back to the drone for a moment, because I was also checking the points. We do not have any points for autonomy of the drone. So I guess there was one question related to autonomy of the drone on Slack. And the only possibility here would be, if anyone achieves autonomy, then, as I also already answered to Jan from AGH, then the 40 points for technical excellence of the drone, you would be basically then the reference point for 40 points for the maximum number if you do something in an autonomous way. And if in other teams will not do it, then they will receive the lower amount of points. Because honestly, I didn't want to include here autonomy, because my assumption was that most probably majority of the teams will just control their drones by the pilot. But we'll see. If you can do it better, that's
an autonomously coached drone will be scored better than a non-autonomously, than a teleoperated do-it-yourself.
Could be scored similar, because then you have the COTS drone, so it's not your design. because also on the scoring of technical excellence, this is honestly the part that we still will have to discuss internally with judges, how to assess if you have the COTS drawn, if you have the autonomy or you do not have the autonomy, what assumptions shall we take? So this is also why it was not included in the scoring at the time. Okay. But for sure, we will have a system for doing that. So of course, the COTS drawn, the fully COTS drawn cannot get the maximum number of points.
But if it is autonomous?
If it's autonomous, then it will get more points, but I'm not sure at the moment if that will be maximum.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. So the next question is from EPFL Explorer again.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, hello. I'm a member from the drone team at EPFL Explorer, and I had a question about the usage of drone for the navigation task. You mentioned at the beginning of your presentation that it was not possible to use the drone on the navigation, but my question is, if we're building an autonomous drone, is it still possible to use it for navigation to provide mapping, better mapping for the rover?
Mm-hmm. So this is the way you figure that out.
Because according to the rules, there is no mention of not being allowed to use a drone on the navigation task if it is autonomous. According to the rules.
No, it should be. It's not mentioned that the drone is used in the navigation task anymore. Unless there is another typo. But basically the change which we wanted to make is that this year navigation task is without the drone. So one point for that is that basically the science task looks like the task which is more, which is better for the drone, because the drone has some scientific goals finally. But on the other hand, I see your point, because you have also a clever idea how to be better in the navigation task. That's also good. The question is what is the approach also of the other teams? Because the one point is, if we would allow to use the drone in the navigation task, then it should be clear for all of the teams. The other point is, which I'm also afraid that in case of any problems with scheduling, I'm sure that we cannot allow 2 drones at the Marcin at the same time. So this is something that I will have to discuss with other judges, what they think to do, what they think about it, because there is not a simple answer. But basically, I assume that what you have is basically you want to use the drone, as you said, for the mapping, then provide those data to the rover, and based on that, you want to reach all of the points. Okay. But
yes, absolutely.
What kind of mapping you want to only if I may ask, you want to only do the photogrammetry or 2D model, the photograph, or also the 3D model?
So for now, the design is to use a depth camera to map the terrain in 3D.
Okay.
Yes. And with a SLAM directly embedded onto the drone, we would transmit the mapping to the rover so that it's performing better on navigation. So it would be a DIY drone.
Right. Okay, so that's noted by me, and I will let you know as soon as I discuss with other judges, because that's interesting approach to the task, but that would also mean that we will have to change the rules right now.
Okay, right. And also just a small addition to this, I think we already discussed it during the last Q&A, but would it be possible to add the AR tags on the top of the boxes?
Yeah, that would be possible. That especially for the drone, yes?
Yeah, precisely.
Okay. Okay, noted. That's a good point. Also for the science task, because you will be using the landmarks too.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for pointing that out.
Yes. I also have a question for the sampling of the different materials, like the deep sample and rock sample. You said earlier that you were going to verify like the weight of the samples. And if I read the requirements, it says that we have to measure it with an accuracy of 0.01 gram. So it says an accuracy. So that means that we need to be at 0.01 gram near the real value. But my question is, how are you going to actually verify this? How do we transfer the material from our container to your scale or anything without losing 0.01 gram?
This is the requirement for your rover. We can measure it on a different scale, and maybe we do not need this value in our case. So this is the requirement for your rover. The scale of our scale doesn't have to be compliant with the same requirement.
But how will you verify that our, like, the measurement we made was accurate enough?
Basically, the verification of the mass of the collected material will be, let's say, more or less, just to see if you. It's rather to check that your measurement system works. So it's not showing, for example, instead of 100 grams, or instead of 20 grams, it's not showing 100 grams. So it's just to check if that's more or less in line. But compliance with the requirements, this is something you will have to show in the design documentation.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so if that's all, then thank you. And then we will move on to IT or rover team.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Hello, yes.
I'm in outside, and if there are any noise, please pardon me. I have two questions. The one of them is about the drone as well. I want to ask the drone. The rule book say that 2.4 gigahertz RC controllers are forbidden in communication requirements part, but most of the drones in commercial or do-it-yourself drones are using 2.4 gigahertz RC controller. Is this rule is valid for the drones as well, or it's valid only the rovers?
The rules related to radio frequency are valid for the rovers.
It's not about drones. I'm right?
It's not about the drones. So basically, those are the same rules as in the previous ERCs, and always they were valid only for the rovers. So in case we are aware that you can have a different frequencies in case of especially the COTS rovers, but yeah, you can use those. So I would be more in my opinion, it's better to focus more on checking how you can control the rover.
Okay, I want to ask a question additionally. In previous years, the communication frequencies didn't send us for the competition, and we have selected random frequency during the tasks, and it was very fit for us. Will there any chance to give this frequency before the competitions or in a warm-up day?
Not really, because basically the frequency is given to you based on the current schedule. So, I mean, last year we could have some problems because also there were rapid changes of the schedule, but in general, how it looks like. And this is why you are always, before every task, you are going for checking of the mass and checking of the radio frequency. Because we are checking what is your time in the schedule, we are checking what are the next teams on the Mars yard, and we are providing you different frequencies just to you know, just to minimize the risk of any problems because you have a similar frequencies. So we want you to complete the task without the problem. But I know that also, I don't know if last year or last year, something happened that one of the teams was delayed on the Mars yard. And finally, they had similar frequency to the other team that was already. I don't remember that if that was your team, honestly. And they have had similar frequency to the other team. And
Yes,
in the
yes,
video
yes.
of the other team in their control station. So basically, this is why it is important to be on time. And honestly, the lessons learned from this situation is that right now, if you are delayed and after your time slot in the schedule, you will not be allowed to go on the Mars yard. I don't know what happened, why you were allowed last year. So that was probably our mistake, but yeah, basically you shouldn't be allowed to enter the Mars yard if you arrive late.
Okay, thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. So let's move to, I hope I will read this right, Audon Baptiste. Welcome.
Thank you. So I'm Audon Baptiste from the ETDZ and Universal team. And I have a question about the water protection of the rover. Does this water protection need to follow a protection index like the EP54 or something like that?
And is it specified in the requirements?
Yes.
But is it specified, the standard?
No, not especially a protection index.
So the answer is?
So how would you check this?
Honestly, this requirement is more for you than for us.
Okay. Thank you.
Because based what we have seen during the last year that we had rain, it's better to be able to also put your rover on the Mars yard if there is a moderate rain.
Okay. Thank you, that's all.
You're welcome. But of course, if you describe that in the design part of your documentation, we'll be happy to read about it.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you. So I see that there's like another question from ITO, but from the other person. So welcome.
Hi.
Hello.
I have a question about the science task. For the collection part in the science task, it is stated that in the case of deep sample collection, the depth reach will be measured. Will this measurement be done by the judges or by the rover?
Both. Should be done by both. So yeah, okay, so maybe that has to be clarified. So you should provide us the number. We will check the number. There was already a question on the Slack, how are we going to check the number? And last year, you could see the picture on the Slack. There were different layers of sand, had different colors. So basically, that would be our way of checking that. You're welcome.
Okay, so the next question is another question from Beyond Robotics from Greece. Welcome.
Hi, just a small clarification because thinking of as the fellow ITU rover team member said about the frequencies. Is it necessary to have an RF diagram for every antenna, even turned off? I mean, we have some ESP32s that have embedded their Wi-Fi antenna. Should we have an RF diagram for even if we don't use?
You need to have the RF diagrams for all the antennas you are going to use.
To use? Okay. Internal Wi-Fi communication between parts of the rover is allowed.
Oh my God. Yes, that's then the question. I will have to consult it with our radio frequency judge, because then it depends how far is it giving the signal. So
let's
if you
say we have an end effector that needs to be Wi-Fi enabled in order to send the data to the main computer. That's the range that we want to achieve.
Okay, but then this is the communication between your rover and the main computer of the rover, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, but the question is, what is the setting of the Wi-Fi? Is that what is the strength of the Wi-Fi? If the distance that the signal is going on is 50 meters, or it's so weak that
Pi 0W, it's about 20 meters of range.
Then we could have also some interferences in case of the. Okay, I will have to consult that just to clarify that in the next in the next revision of the rules. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So at the moment, please assume, because I believe you do not have other solutions. So please assume to follow as you do. But yeah, we just need to check if we will not have any additional problems because of that.
Okay, so I understand that we have cleared this for now. So another question is from another familiar name for us, from GTU rover.
Hello, I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes, very clear.
All right, thank you. Our question actually about the required precision for 2 requirements in science mission. What is the necessary level of precision for measuring the weight of soil sample? For example, should we say the weight is about 11 grams or 11.6 grams? And also, when specifying the depth at which a soil sample was obtained, what tolerance would be accepted for a specified depth in centimeters? Like, we should say the height is about 15 centimeter or 15.6 centimeter. Thank you.
Okay, regarding the depth, I believe I will start from the end. Regarding the depth, I believe it will be really hard to measure it will be very hard to measure with such an accuracy. So basically, if you will have something about 15.6, then most probably we will just measure 16. And that will be the result, the depth, 16 centimeters. In case of the weight, I need to send you to the requirements which you have, because you have the accuracy requirements for the weight on the rover.
All right, thank you.
You are welcome.
Yes, it is me again. Concerning, again, the data that we can receive from the rover during the navigation task, you said that we're not supposed to see what the rover sees. So that implies cameras. But are we still allowed to receive data such as like the data collected by the LiDAR on the rover? Because it enables us to have a large point cloud of what is surrounding the rover. And we basically have.
But I remember that last year you were using LiDAR, and that was allowed because basically you were not seeing what exactly sees the rover. So it was not clear if there is a small rock, big rock, or anything like that. So it was not like the video. So you have seen only on the radar that there is something, but you didn't know what exactly is that and how big is that finally. And yeah, you have to took also the other parameters to decide what to do next. So then it is allowed. So basically, if you are something which is similar to the video, then it's not allowed. Okay. In the case you had last year, it's definitely allowed.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I see another question, this time from Eric.
Yeah, we have 3 questions. Can you hear us? Hi.
Yes.
Okay, great.
And I can see you.
Yeah. It's you. One question for the proposal, if I now understand this correctly, the point of understanding key requirements is done just by filling out the 3 columns in the table and attaching this table in the Excel format, right? Did I understand?
You can do it like that, but I would recommend also to focus on some main requirements and write at least few paragraphs regarding those.
Okay,
so then you need to show which ones in your opinion are the key requirements.
Okay, so we have to sample out key requirements and write them in text style into our proposal document.
Yes.
Okay, great. Another question is the 10 milligram resolution for weighting now fixed?
Yes, this is what we have in the requirement. So okay, let's say as your customer, this is what we want.
Okay. And the last question was, because it was mentioned that we can, if I now understand correctly, that we can stream LiDAR data to our ground station. So did I understand this correctly?
Yes, LiDAR data from the rover, yes, but which basically which do not look like the videos, but so if you have the LiDAR which is not showing you all of details, I assume that's the case, like the camera, then you can use it. But basically anyway, rover has do his tasks in the autonomous mode to reach the maximum number of the points.
So if we are allowed,
but in general, also it's specified in the rules that LiDAR is allowed for the navigation task.
Yeah, it's allowed. I wasn't know that it's allowed to stream this to the ground station, because then the question is, is this only allowed for 2D LiDAR? Is it allowed for 3D LiDAR? Is there a difference? Can we stream point clouds to our ground station, for example? Yeah, to what extent can we stream data? If we now say laser scan data, is it only, for example, 2D laser scan data, or is it 3D laser scan data? Because if it's 3D laser scan data, then at least in my opinion, there isn't a big difference to 3D point clouds. So are 3D point clouds also allowed to stream to the ground station?
EPFL, what was it in your case? I believe it was 3D. Could you confirm?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, so looking at what they have been receiving in the 3D, it wouldn't help them very much, honestly. So not as a video, so that was still acceptable.
Okay, so I expect that then we can generally say that 3D point clouds are allowed to the ground station.
Yep, yeah, then yes.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you, and thank you for confirmation, EPFL. Okay, the next question.
Yeah, next question is from another Swiss team. Okay, don't be shy.
Yes, I had some problems with my camera. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, we have 2 questions. The first one is there is stated in the there should be a complete list attached to the proposal where all requirements are filled out. And our question is this mandatory to the proposal?
I do not hear the last sentence after the proposal. If you said anything, maybe that's the video issue only. But basically, yes, this is the way you usually do in the industry. So you receive the list of the requirements from the customer who wants wants you to provide a product which is compliant with all of those requirements. So basically, one of the first steps you are providing is the compliance matrix. And at that point, you're also providing some preliminary design or trade-offs showing in which direction your design may go. So also it's worth to mention that at the moment of the proposal or preliminary report, I do not need to know the final design of your rover because it may change for the final report. And the final report is the part in which you have the final design. But basically, going back to your question, yes, you need to fill it already at the proposal level, because already at the proposal level, you're doing some assumptions which will have an impact on your design. We do not hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thanks. The second question is the rough date of the workshop for the science task. Is this already planned, like before the qualifying or after the qualifying?
That's a good question for Slack, because for the science task, the workshop, this is done by Anya, and she's not here today.
Okay.
So we'll have to ask her.
Thank you. That would be everything from us.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, I see no more raised hands. So I think we may be like, close to, to the closure. So if there are like any other questions, please let us know right now. Yeah, Shash Nicolette, welcome. I hope I read that.
Oh, it's okay. Hello, I'm from Romania. We're kind of new, like we haven't participated yet, and we'd have 2 questions regarding the navigation.
Can I have like a question first? Can you like say your name for us so we know how to say that?
Sure. Sas Nicolette.
Okay, great. I won't try to repeat that, but nice to know you.
Oh, it's easier than you thought, Konrad. All right. So the question.
I'll have to check them to be sure that I asked them right. Can we use a manometer for the navigation task?
Use what?
A manometer.
So you mean you want to
for the
count
magnetic strength to measure?
Ah, okay. Some kind of higher, inertial system. Yes, something like that. So yeah, it can be used. You cannot use GPS.
Okay. And the other question is, we have the landmarks, and they are kind of like some boxes. And do we have the same AR tags on each side?
Yes, on each side you will have the same AR tags.
Thank you.
And honestly, we do not plan also to change the ER tags. So then you will just receive them up with the locations when the Mars yard is, the build of the Mars yard is completed. But the same AR tags will be used.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Oh, so Marcin, there's like a, your favorite question on chat. So
yes, I know. I'm working on it right now. Yeah, but unfortunately, in the last time I had to focus on the rules, which were also delayed. So I know that I want to deliver everything to you, but I cannot say if that will be before Easter or after Easter. Sorry, but that's also a hectic time for me. But I remember I will deliver, and it will be for sure before ERC. Maybe I will just simplify the. But on the other hand, Konrad.
Yes.
As I said to you some time ago, rankings, the scoring can be delivered. I'm talking only on the feedback.
Yeah, I know.
But for the feedback, I need more time. but the scoring is already is done basically. Okay, so we will agree it internally that the scoring is already done. I just finalizing the feedback, and the first assumption was that we will provide you this together with the feedback. Yes, this will be the end of era. So unfortunately, didn't work like we assumed this year. So probably next year, this year, last year. So probably this year we will go back to the old way of providing you the feedback. So you will just receive the table in Excel filled by judges, and that's all. Because then it will be faster and can be done by Konrad. So I have underestimated my free time for doing that.
So by the way, there's like another question on chat on a different topic.
Mm. Yeah, they may be different. That depends on you. Also, I would like to say that the risk can change from time to time. So if you have already, let's say, if you have the risk called A at the proposal level, the question is if that risk is also at the preliminary report level or the final report level. So you need to assess the risk. The risks have to be updated all the time. I mean, all the time, not every day, but usually it is done on, for example, monthly basis in each project, and you are checking what will be the impact of the risks. Could you connect and ask your question?
So can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear
you. Okay, perfect. Because I do
it
not have a camera.
Sorry, it will be better anyway, because if we publish it on YouTube, then everyone can hear what was the question, what was the answer.
Okay, yeah, sure. So the question was concerning about the risk assessments, that there is one quantitative and a qualitative one.
Mm-hmm.
And we had an argument about if it would not be smarter to provide different risks in the different analysis, because in our perspective, there are some risks that are more on the qualitative side and do not have like financial or quantitative.
What kind of risk, for example?
For example, something that can be quantitated is like if damage happens to some components, that would be easy to like quantify.
And what would be not easy to quantify?
Oh, yeah, no. I have to remember those. Give me a second. I will open our document. Just give me like 2 minutes and I can answer.
Okay, so can we like move to other question in this time?
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Beyond Robotics, welcome.
Hi, just another question about the RF diagrams. In case of a Wi-Fi drone that's COTS-enabled, we should also have the RF diagram of this drone because it has this antenna.
Then you have to mention what is. You need to mention what is the drone using in the specifications. So, for example, also it was like in case of the cameras which the teams were using, they have also specified what kind of connection is used internally on the rover. Yeah. honestly, I don't remember what is exactly written about that in the rules, but looking at as I remember some of the reports, so basically there was a diagram for the main antenna, so the main connection between the control station and the rover, but the other internal communications were just described.
Okay.
Or could be just described, because I cannot guarantee that some of the teams didn't provide us those details.
Okay.
Okay, can we go back to the previous question? If we have already.
Can you hear me again? Okay. Yeah, so one example for something that is more on the qualitative side would be like some sort of software failure or something like this, because in our opinion, the only thing that would be quantitative could be like time loss. But yeah, then in the other hand,
but this is quantitative. So that's normal that you can either quantify money, cost of something that is, for example, broken, can be broken, or the time associated with the repairing, with the repair. So if you have, for example, the broken motor and the lead time is 4 weeks, then risk, the quantitative risk in this case is 4 weeks of the lead time plus maybe some few days for procurement of the new motor.
Not true. Yeah, okay. Yeah, then we have to go over this again.
That's only the question about the subject. It doesn't have to be money all the time.
Okay. Okay, understood. Okay,
sorry,
thanks.
by the unit, not the subject.
Okay, so we're back to the moment when there are no questions.
Actually, I have one last question.
Sure, go on.
Concerning the weight limit of 75 kilos, will there be any additional bonus points for being lighter this year?
We have not assumed it in the rules, then I believe we will not change it.
So no bonus points for being lighter than 75 kilograms this year?
No, because also the question is how many modifications with regards to, for example, the last year are you doing to your rover? Do you have because you know the easy way to get those points would be, for example, not doing the deep sampling task, but trying to get the additional bonus points because you have the rover which is 50 kilograms, because that was the requirement last year. So this is also why we didn't want to get any bonus points for the lighter rover. So there is only the penalty for the heavier one.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yeah, and despite we had 50 kilograms last year, and now it's 75. I believe we had like 2 rovers which were over 80 kilograms. So I'm afraid what we will see this year.
Okay, I think you are close to the end. So I'll just add one thing, that the next meetings will be only for the teams who will register to the ERC. So the next invitations won't be published by our Facebook on Twitter or anything like that. We will just send them via email. Yeah, and if there are like no other questions, or Marcin, you have nothing to say, then I think.
Yeah, so the next questions are on Slack.
Yes, the Slack is always open. We always try to answer as soon as possible. Maybe beside Ania Łosiak, who is super busy right now, but we're always like trying to notice Ania to answer the questions. Okay, so thanks everyone for coming. It was super nice to see you again after a few month break. It's really nice, to see that we've managed to reach the newcomers, that there are like even new countries here interested to join the ERC community. Be sure to join our Slack community. If you have no link, then just send email to me to teams@roverchallenge.eu and I will give you the link with invitation. And I think that's all. Thanks for coming. The whole recording should be on YouTube right now. I will put the link to YouTube on Slack so you can rewatch it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, so thanks for coming, and and see you on the next meeting.
Thank you very much. Have a good day and a good weekend, rest of the weekend.
Yes.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye. Bye.